welcome back to another video on all things Jira. We are going to do another story time video, and I want you to please welcome my mom.
Hi everyone, welcome back to All Things Jira. I'm back with another story that I found on the internet. And it's about a woman from Louisiana named Julia Brown. She may also be referred to as Julia Black or Julia White, but her legal name was Julia Brown. I couldn't find an exact date of birth on her, but she was born in Louisiana sometime in 1845. I couldn't find an exact date of birth for her. She was born as Julia Bernard. Census records didn't show what city she was born in. By 1860, she was living in New Orleans, Louisiana. In 1880, she married a laborer named Celestine Brown. And soon after, they moved to the town of Frenier, which was about 25 miles west of New Orleans. The town had a really small population, but they were beginning to grow. The town was becoming a prosperous logging town. They were known for logging cypress trees and farming cabbage. Although the town was growing, it had no electricity, no roads, and no doctors. The town did have a railroad that would bring in supplies, and this railroad was a lifeline for the town. The railroad would bring in supplies and groceries and would haul away the logs and the cabbages as far as Chicago. In 1900, Celestine and Julia were given a 40-acre plot to farm on in Frenier. In 1914, Celestine died, and of course that land was left to Julia. In the town of Frenier, Julia was a well-respected magical practitioner. She was sometimes called Aunt Julia. Julia Brown could be called a traiteur, which is like a spiritual healer or a faith healer. She would do rituals and use herbs along with other natural remedies to help the townspeople with childbirth, fighting off infections and other ailments. And anyone she used these things on would heal really quickly. And she would help the townspeople of Frenier and also Ruddock, which was nearby. Her healing abilities were seen as a gift, so she did these things freely. She never charged. Since the town didn't have a doctor, the townspeople would either have to go to Julia or they would have to go 25 miles east back to New Orleans. And because there were no roads, the only way they could get there was by that railroad. Now, initially, the townspeople respected Julia, and they would go to her for help whenever they were having a problem. But after a while, they started to take advantage of her and take her for granted. They would start to demand that she would help them, or they would demand that she do rituals for them or give them herbs or remedies rather than asking her. After a while, they started to spread rumors that she was practicing dark magic. Julia was also considered an oracle, and she would have premonitions about the town and the townspeople, and she would be able to let them know about things that were going to happen to them in the future. And when something bad happened to them, of course, they assumed that Julia had put a curse on them. If Julia wasn't out in town healing people and helping the townspeople, she could be found on her porch playing her guitar and singing songs. A lot of times, these songs that she sang would be about the premonitions that she had. And one of the last premonitions that she had and one of the last songs that she sang, she predicted that she was going to die soon. And then in the song, I've seen a couple different versions of it, but the gist of it was that one day I'm going to die and I'm going to take the whole town with me. Now, she sang this song repeatedly. She sang the song every day sitting on her porch. And people would walk by and hear her singing this song, and they immediately began to say that Julia was putting a curse on the town. On September 28th, 1915, Julia passed away, and I could not find a cause of death for her. The entire town gathered for her funeral. Now, some people say that they gathered for her funeral out of guilt, and others say that they were trying to appease her spirit, maybe seeing that the whole town came out for her, that it would settle her spirit, and maybe there would be no curse on the town. During her funeral, a sudden hurricane came through the town. The initial service took place in Julia's home in preparation for her to be buried. Julia's body was put in a casket, and that casket was placed in a wooden box. The box was going to be sealed in preparation to take her out to the graveyard. Before they could do this, the winds got so strong, it forced all the townspeople out. All the townspeople were scared. They abandoned Julia's house and her body, and they all ran away. The storm surge rose about 13 feet, and the winds were anywhere between 125 and 130 miles an hour. The storm was so strong it was felt all over southern Louisiana. And as I said, the townspeople abandoned Julia's house. They left her body, and a lot of them sheltered in the railroad depot. Now that collapsed, and it killed about 25 people in there. The towns of Frenier, Ruddock, and Napton were all completely destroyed, and about 350 people died that day. Julia's body and the wooden box were found, but her casket was never found. For years, the residents of nearby towns would say it was a common occurrence to find the skeletal remains of residents from that storm, just in the swamp or coming up from the ground after a bad storm. They said for years that went on. There were also efforts to rebuild those towns to what they were before, but they always failed. Either buildings wouldn't go up or they would collapse after they did go up. Many people would say that the curse Julia placed on the town was that hurricane coming through and killing all the people, and also the failure to be able to rebuild the towns afterwards. They began to call her a hoodoo priestess or a voodoo priestess, and again, she was being called Julia Black because they were saying that she was doing dark magics. A modern New Orleans voodoo priestess stated that she had found records of a voodoo priestess or a voodoo queen named Julia Brown that lived in New Orleans in the 1860s prior to moving to the town of Frenier. She stated that those records showed that she did work as a local healer and a midwife. I'm going to read what Mary said so I don't misquote her. She says, "Voodoo isn't as much about curses as it is about healing. The locals spoken to remember Julia as a beloved local healer, not a revengeful type. In fact, Julia's song may have been more of a warning to the townsfolk than a curse against them. Julia may even have tried to perform an anti-storm ritual that was unable to stop the hurricane before it was too late. Whatever she did, it wasn't out of malevolence. And if she's still in the swamp, you have less to fear from her than you have from the alligator." In 2009, A&E also did a special about Julia Brown called Extreme Paranormal. In 2013, there was also a sci-fi show called Haunted Highways. So what do you think about Julia Brown and her song? Was it a curse placed on the town, or was it a warning for the town? Either way, let me know in the comments. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's a story that you want me to look into or a video that you want me to do. But in the meantime, I really appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. Bye.